Bill Marler joins us now, attorney with Marler Clark, the food safety law firm based in Seattle. Welcome to you. You and I have been talking about food safety for years, but I've spoke to you more this year than I probably did in the last 10. What is that saying?
Well, your intro you're spot on. I mean, not only the recalls have been sort of off the charts, but the illnesses associated with them have been more and frankly deadly. I've been doing this kind of work for 31 years, ever since the Jack in the Box E. coli outbreak, and this last 6 months has been exhausting. It's been horrible for my clients, but it's just been frankly exhausting for me, which makes it, an unsafe food system for all of us.
We want to trust that the manufacturers of the food we eat are doing so safely. Have they become lax? I mean, what would you attribute what we're seeing right now?
Well, in some respects, I think there's, people are taking their eye off the ball. We've seen more E. coli outbreaks linked to hamburger this year than, frankly, I've seen in the last decade. I think restaurants are, undercooking hamburgers because, frankly, our meat supply is safer than it was 30 years ago. And I think people are being lulled into a false sense of security. And I think, food safety and a food safety culture is like a daily thing that companies have to pay attention to. And you look at, the horror show that was the Boar's Head plant. I mean, essentially every day for 2 years, inspectors were finding problems in that plant that would absolutely lead to a listeria outbreak that killed 10 people. So I think in many respects, Marni, what I'm afraid of is that companies and, frankly, some of our government inspectors and officials are taking their eye off the ball, and it's, poisoning and killing the public.
After the Boar's Head recall, you and I spoke, and you were calling for congressional intervention, oversight, and an investigation. Has that gone anywhere, gotten any traction?
No, I mean, in fact, one of the Congress members who wrote a nasty letter to Boar's Head asking a bunch of really good questions sort of just got a brushback. They responded and really didn't answer her questions. This is, I think, whether it's this administration, the next administration, this Congress or next Congress, they really do need to bring, a lot of people together and ask some really hard questions. We are still sickening, almost 50 million Americans every year. That number hasn't changed much. What products are making us sick, that's changed over the course of 20 years. But the numbers of people sickened are still the same. And, frankly, it's just, beyond ridiculous.
Yeah. So, I mean, it starts with how the food's being made and processed and then shipped out. But what can we as consumers do, Bill? How can we be better, smarter, safer shoppers at the grocery store and in our own food preparation?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard as a busy consumer, buying food for your family, wanting to go out to dinner, knowing what you can trust. I think there's some real simple food safety stuff. It's like, keep hot things hot and cold things cold. Wash your fruits and vegetables thoroughly, which is where we see, frankly, most of the illnesses and outbreaks are occurring. And, wash them thoroughly, cook things thoroughly. Just because we haven't had outbreaks of E. coli and hamburger as frequently as we did in the 90s, don't cook your hamburgers medium well. Cook them well done, 160 degrees. They're still edible. They're still good to eat, but you got to be safe. And, washing your hands, if you're caring for somebody who's got a diarrheal illness, be extremely careful because secondary transmissions are very common.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.